all over this New York Times story, so you got to read that, this audience. Also, Peter Navarro at the 5 o'clock show, Dr. Navarro is going to be refuting the lead story on Axios about how Trump's trade thing was a total disaster across the board. Dr. Peter Navarro. But also, three things. Just the News, John Solomon's site, Real America's Voice, but Just the News, you got to go to that site. He's got the receipts, right? Peter Navarro is now combined. We're going to talk in the 5. He's combined all three of the Navarro reports into one volume, which is a base of what Trump could use. We're going to be putting that out, I think, tomorrow. He's going to tee it up tonight at 5 o'clock. National Pulse, you've done an amazing job of the diary of the Biden regime. If you could please put all your great reporting, and quite frankly, Steve Cortez, that piece you had, I think, changed the president's mind to put the Senate on trial. Before I go to John Fredericks, Greitens, is Cortez right? Should the President of the United States come back to D.C. and put the Senate on trial? He's not on trial. They're on trial.
Yes, he should. Absolutely, he should. 100%, Steve. And here's why. Look, the president has tens of millions of people around this country who voted for him, who are behind him. And it's not just that they're behind him personally, like they're behind the policies of putting America first. They're behind the policies of taking on the uniparty in Washington, D.C. They're behind the policies of putting America first economically. They're behind the policies of peace through strength. And Americans want to see that we are willing to stand up against the establishment. You saw it in Wyoming. You're seeing it with Reddit. People are willing to stand up and to fight.
Fredericks, what say you? More importantly, what is the audience? The John Fredericks is the oracle of the deplorables. You've got the biggest radio audience for deplorables. What do they say?
He needs to do it for us as much as for him. He needs to do it because as deplorables through this whole thing, we have been made fun of, we have been castigated, we have been mocked, and we have been demonized. Somehow we got tagged with what happened on January 6th. Which had nothing to do with us, nothing. And so he needs to do this for us. I covered this thing for 8 weeks in Georgia. I can't talk to the other 5 states, Steve, but I can talk to Georgia. And the voter fraud that went on there was beyond the pale. They never got a hearing. And those that they did in the 2 sessions of the Roe Committee of the state Senate in Georgia, we saw videos, we had affidavits, we had all this stuff. It never got a hearing. Even today, there's still in question 30,000 mail-in ballots, up to 30,000 mail-in ballots in Fulton County, Georgia, that we're trying to do a forensic analysis of because we have 3 affidavits saying that they believe these ballots were counterfeit. They were just manufactured and put through the machine. And Fulton County and the state of Georgia and all the Republicans there, by the way, have been blocking a simple forensic analysis. If they don't have anything to hide, produce the ballots, let's go over it, be sure they're authentic, and that's the end of it. We've never had our day in court. That's why it is so critical that President Trump come back to the Capitol for us and tell the story to everybody what actually happened.
Can I also make one point? I want to pick up on what John is saying here because it's so important. What you see the left tries to do is they want to demonize people so that they'll be quiet. They want to deplatform you. They want to call you names. John Solomon was called a conspiracy theorist because he was willing to question the Russia collusion hoax narrative. But what happened? We all found out it was this huge hoax perpetrated by the left for years. But they want to shut you down. They want to quiet you. They want to try and intimidate people. And that's the same thing that's happening here. They're calling people all of these names because they can't win the argument on the facts.
They don't want to see it.
If they want to, if the facts are right for them, then let's hear the facts.
It was really interesting. I was doing some research last night and I stumbled upon one of these memes that said Lisa Simpson predicted how Kamala Harris would dress. You know, just one of these silly internet things, right? And I noticed that USA Today had done a fact check of this meme. And so I looked at who the author of this fact check was, and it's a student intern at the University of Arizona, student intern. Now remember, USA Today is owned by a company with an annual revenue of something like $2 billion, something ridiculous. At the bottom of the article, it says, this is made possible by a grant from Facebook. Facebook, obviously, the guys that did the whole CTCL thing, Mark Zuckerberg, all of
Can't
that.
make this up.
And it occurred to me, and, I'm reading the Gulag Archipelago, it occurred to me that what's happening right now is we're seeing in real time a bunch of student interns, journalism students who are being trained, and I'm not going to mention who this is because it's nothing to do with them. This comes back to what you're saying, Eric. They're training a bunch of people out there right now whose job it is to point and scream, racist, xenophobe, bigot, liar, all of this at you, right? Now, it'd be one thing if she was just fact-checking Simpsons memes. I went through her whole background. It's COVID, medical advice. And by the way, in case people hadn't noticed, Facebook actually just rescinded their ban on HCQ reporting.
Yep, they had to. They're going to get sued.
It's elections and election fraud claims that she's responsible for. And remember, it doesn't just go on usatoday.com or in your newspaper outside your hotel room. USA Today is one of the approved fact checkers of Facebook.
This is the way the system works.
So this is the way the system works. It's one big circle back, right? And it's stunning to me because what you say, now we have to get into, well, how does this actually transpire?
Right. Yes.
And who are the enforcement officers?
Yeah, they have the Truth and Safety Commission. Remember, each one's got a Truth and Safety. It's like the Committee on Public Safety in revolutionary France, right? I want to go back to John Fredericks for a second because this gets to, and Greitens, jump in here. Trump is going to have he's the best salesman in the world. He knows what the facts are. He can sell this, right? And we know that 85% of the Republican Party believes it's illegitimate or illegal. Why? Because they've watched shows like this. They've gone and they've seen the facts. They've gone to John Solomon. They've gone to National Pulse. They've heard Real America's Voice. They've seen it. Once you see the facts, You're a convert. Say, hey, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. It's not about machines or servers on the moon. It's about the low-hanging fruit of just good old-fashioned ballot fraud, voter fraud, election fraud.
And what's driving people this way is that the average person says, okay, there are all these guys, Steve Bannon, War Room, they're into the facts, they've got this stuff. Why is it that these other folks on the left are calling them names? Why is it that these other folks on the left aren't debating the facts? Why is it these other folks on the left aren't willing to engage in a rational debate? And so somebody who's coming to this and says, I don't know, I heard this, I heard that, they're watching this dynamic play out, and it's why the mainstream media's credibility is the lowest that it's ever been.
I think that's the other thing. I think we got to take this and deconstruct. We're going to, for our audience, I think what we're going to do is make an assignment. We're going to deconstruct all 10,000 words. We're going to go through we're going to do paragraph by paragraph.
I'm happy to.
And give them a hat tip where you're right and a thing. First of all, they say, Bannon finally, after strongly promoting Dominion systems, backed off it and things. I'm the one guy that's been mocking these guys from day one. Yeah, we did have General McInerney on once, and we had the Kraken on once, and then we said, hey, you got to show us some evidence here before you have you back on. And they made one appearance each. Not that, hey, they can pursue that stuff. When they come up with evidence, we're glad to have evidence.
And by the way, the last time I checked, this was America. People can say stuff, then other people can say, well, not sure about that.
Go back over Rachel Maddow and all the madness Rachel Maddow, the number one person in MSC, had about the Russian collusion. Every time she and Weissman would be sitting there, their heads are blown up, all lies, all misrepresentation, all proof.
Remind people, Steve, too, that was taking place for months after the election. Nancy Pelosi coming out months after the election saying that it was hijacked.
John Fredericks, does Trump have to return to the Capitol? Is he got to be part of the team and actually the tip of the spear? Does he have to make the opening 3-hour argument to Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney as they sit there as 11-year-old schoolboys and have to listen to Donald Trump go through chapter and verse and take of the 3 hours, take at least 30 to 45 minutes and go through the details of Georgia as you saw it?
Steve, Eric, and Raheem, there's no other way to do it. There's no lawyer who can do this. There's no third party who can do this. Only the president can do this and command the audience and the attention that he needs. And I'm going to go back to what Eric just said a minute ago about we've read about this and seen about it and go to Just the News and seen our show and listened to it. But here's the other reason why 90% of Republicans believe there was election fraud. You know why? Because they experienced it. Many of them in their families experienced it.
Wow.
They went to vote themselves. They were rejected. Somebody sent an absentee ballot in. They saw ballots floating around on a Starbucks counter. They saw the drop boxes with no chain of custody and people there. They've seen it. So You can present all the false facts in the New York Times that you want. You can't deny the fact that this percentage of Trump voters and Republicans believe there was fraud in this election because they saw it themselves. That's why the number is so high. That's why he's got to come himself and go over the evidence. That was supposed to be what happened on January 6th. We never got there. Now he's got an opportunity to do that.
That's exactly right. On January 6th, they had the whole thing. And by the way, the letter from Pence is a lie. He never sent, his team never showed a draft to anybody. They just dropped it up there in Capitol Hill. John Eastman, we're going to have John Eastman on hopefully back tomorrow to walk through why that was a line of misrepresentation. Okay, John, we're going to get tomorrow. We're definitely going to we got to get back to the tomorrow about the populist revolt and how it started in 2008 and that letter. I got to do that. Real quickly, you're expanding. Talk real quickly. You got 30 seconds about Atlanta. What are we doing down in Georgia?
Atlanta, we're so excited. We just purchased a radio station there, waiting for it to go through the FCC. We think that'll be in the next week or so. We start on the 1st of March in Atlanta, WMLB AM 1690. Great signal through Metro Atlanta. John Fredericks show 6 to 10. We got a great lineup. Steve Bannon, War Room, will be 10 to noon, Monday through Saturday, and then Bannon back at 5 p.m., 5 to 6. Other programming in there. We might have the Doug Collins show. We're really excited. Finally, an alternative in talk radio, the last bastion of free speech in America, protected. We'll be there.